Welcome to the Parkland Report. I'm Stephanie Stewart, the Vice President for Strategic Partnerships and Workforce Innovation here at Parkland College, and this is the show where we talk to people who are making things happen here at Parkland. I have two guests today, one from the Parkland Planetarium, as well as a member of our faculty, and another from our art gallery, which will be in our second segment. But first, I'd like to welcome Erik Johnson, who's an instructor in natural sciences and director of the Planetarium.
Thank you so much for having me.
So we have these conversations from time to time, and so we have some viewers that may have seen you on in previous academic years. But there's a lot happening at the Planetarium.
Yes.
This time of year, and students are in full swing with their classes.
That's right.
For viewers that are coming on for the first time, what types of courses do you teach in our natural sciences department?
Oh, okay. What I have been teaching here since I started were the two astronomy courses that we offer. We offer our 101 course, focuses on all of the solar system. So we cover as much as you'd like to know about the planets, about the sun, about everything else you find in the solar system. So the moon, if you want to learn about the lunar phases and the interesting things we need to know about the moon, that's all in that course. The other course, Astronomy 102, deals with everything outside of the solar system. We still talk about the sun because the sun is the closest star that we can observe. So then we see how the sun compares to all of those other stars. Then we zoom out from there. We look at the composition of the galaxy. We look at how it compares to other galaxies, and that helps us understand the universe. And then they actually go back and look at the beginning of the universe, the Big Bang. So it's called Stars, Galaxies, and Universe. That's what I've taught most. I also teach a couple of physics classes right now as well. I'm teaching an introductory physics class for students who are in pre-med programs, for example. And I'm also helping a Physics 112 course, which introduces more electricity and magnetism content for students who are taking who are in our radiation technology program, and I believe also the fire service technology program. I didn't think about it that much beforehand. Thank you for your patience with me there.
That's okay.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I think what's so incredible about the Starkville Planetarium is that connectivity to the classroom, and really being an extension of that. So before we were on, we were talking a little bit about some of the programs that are coming up, and one of those is the Kaler Lecture Series, which features our students. So can you tell our viewers about that?
Yes, of course. So the Kaler Science Lecture Series, it was originally named after Jim Kaler, who was an astronomer over at the University of Illinois. We've had at the planetarium since the day it opened a World of Science lecture series, so that even though you might have a focus on astronomy in the planetarium, we could host speakers from all sorts of different scientific disciplines. That said, every year Jim would actually come to the planetarium and talk about something usually relating to astronomy. After he had retired from doing those talks, we named that in his honor. Now we name it in his memory. All right. And so the Kaler Science Lecture Series is hosting speakers from all sorts of different disciplines, from biology to chemistry to astronomy. And our first talk, it's actually talks, that we're going to have on October 6th. That's the first Friday of October. We're hosting actually student researchers. There's a program called PREX, which focuses on offering summer research opportunities for community college students. So our two speakers are actually two Parkland students who will share what they did with their research in basically biochemistry type subjects over the last summer.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So the planetarium's more than just shows. It can be a variety of different topics, which I think is really
absolutely right. Yeah.
Incredible for the community and just that extension of the classroom. For those that may not have visited before, what are just some of the general programs that are offered in the planetarium outside of the lecture series?
Okay, so we always know that people want to come and see what's in astronomy news lately, what they can see up in the night sky, where they can find the planets. So we devote most of our Friday night at 7 o'clock shows, we devote those to doing what we call prairie skies. Right now it's fall, so we call it fall prairie skies. Okay, and so that is a live tour of the night sky for that hour. Then our 8 p.m. show offers a abbreviated form of a live sky tour to go along with a full dome show. Okay, and those shows can range from talking about the history of the telescope. There could be shows that talk about some facet of the universe, maybe something like solar superstorms. We actually, nowadays, I can usually choose from about 30 different full dome shows that we've been able to acquire. One show that we're actually going to be very happy to offer for the first time coming up in the spring, we'll be making sure that we offer a show devoted to educating people about the total solar eclipse that will be happening on April 8th. We want to make sure people are prepared for this opportunity. You might remember the one that happened back in 2017. This one is the first one in 7 years that's happening over North America, and it'll be the last one we get for another 20 years after that. The next one won't be till 2045.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And there's also one happening next month.
Total solar eclipses are very rare because the moon's shadow covering up all the sun only happens over a small area of our planet. Usually it's a shadow that's only about 70 miles wide. Our planet's a lot bigger than 70 miles wide, right? So that shadow that goes over Earth is not going to cover Champaign. We're not going to get a total eclipse here, but it will pass over southern Illinois. And then there's another type of eclipse that will happen on October 14th. That'll be a Saturday. And that one is not going to pass through Illinois. It won't be a total eclipse either. The moon will actually be too far away for any observer on Earth to see the moon completely cover the sun. So you'll actually see the sun actually lit up around the moon in that situation. So since you'll see a ring of the sun around it, they call it an annular eclipse. Seeing this ring of light there, okay? Some people like to call it a ring of fire eclipse if you end up looking for it online in that situation. So here in Champaign, it'll be partially covered, which is still a pretty rare event. That'll be really cool to see, and I will be joining the local astronomy club out at Urbana's Farmers Market that Saturday, offering people a view of this event through telescopes.
So Erik, one of the most exciting parts of the planetarium is to see all of the school-age kids that come throughout the year. And so can you talk about how you work with our local schools to really promote education in the sciences at an early age?
Certainly. I feel that the planetarium gives a lot of school area school children the first impression of Parkland College. Okay, they'll have a class that wants to introduce them to the stars, to the sky, to help them understand what we see in the universe from the ground here. And we host thousands of children each year through field trips on weekdays. It's one of the main reasons why we actually don't offer public shows on weekdays, is because we have this greater goal to try to accommodate any of those other field trips at those times. And so when they come in, they meet Carl, that's our Zeiss original mechanical star projector, and then we bring them in and we give them a very guided inquiry where we'll ask them questions to help them understand what they're seeing in the sky. A lot of times, of course, they've been prepped by their great teachers, but we align with their curriculum. We develop shows with groups like Unit 4 School District in order to help bolster what they're learning about with patterns that they see here on Earth, what they see in the sky, and so on. And we give them a variety of shows and, maybe a chance to step outside of the classroom and see the stars as well as you possibly can, unless you're able to get outside of town to get some really dark skies.
That's great. And usually you have some holiday type shows and things that come up around the end of the year.
That is absolutely right. In December, we tend to devote that time to a couple of holiday-based shows we bring back every year. One for the really young kids we have is called Santa's Secret Star. Okay, I won't spoil what the secret star is, but and then for older audiences, actually it's really kind of an all ages type show. We have a program called Season of Light that actually was, I believe, co-written by the Starkville Planetarium's very first director, as a matter of fact. And that program goes through all of the traditions that we see around many cultures around the world associated with that time of year. Even though it's a time when we've got very short days, where the sun's not up very high, and it can be dark a lot of the time, it's called a season of light because many of these traditions have people trying to light up their homes and their neighborhoods neighborhoods, and of course we've associated with those with many family-based traditions as well. So it doesn't just focus on the traditions of Christianity. You'll see the traditions of other cultures. You'll also see how some of the traditions that we see in many homes around the country might not have necessarily come from Christian traditions. I mean, a Yule log does not exactly come from the Middle East, for example.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Well, that'll be very interesting for families and just members of the community to come during that time. So another tie-in I think that our audience will think is pretty interesting is to pop culture.
Oh, yeah.
So you have some upcoming offerings that maybe have lasers?
Lasers! That's right. Okay. Did I say that loud enough?
Yeah.
I suppose so. So yeah, we love bringing in audiences that are music fans to let them have a musical experience in a very unique environment. We have brought back in the last year or so having these Pink Floyd light shows, and we're devoting a couple of weekends in October to having shows across many different musical genres. So on those Friday evenings and Saturday afternoon and evenings, we're doing shows that you'll see laser images up on the dome, and you'll hear music based off of pop stars past and present. And there's also a show that's more for all ages called Halloween Spooktacular. Okay, so many of the pop songs that you can think about that are associated with Halloween will play during that show. The one that's really getting people's attention for the laser shows that we're offering is one of the most popular pop stars in the world right now, Taylor Swift. Another incredibly popular pop star as well is Beyonce. We have a Beyonce show as well. We've got Prince. We're going to do a Pink Floyd show during this time. We'll have the Beatles. We'll have Queen. We'll have Led Zeppelin. There's probably one I forgot, but that's a lot of them.
That's very exciting. Yeah. You'll hit sort of every age demographic.
That's the intent.
They like.
Yes, exactly.
Very good, very good. Well, Erik, where can people find the schedule if they want to know what's going on this weekend? Maybe we can go to the planetarium. How do they find out what you have going on?
Right. A nice simple URL for people to remember is parkland.edu/planetarium. That can take you to the Starkville Planetarium. It'll give you information for booking any shows with us. It'll give you information about what you want to do if you want to support the planetarium in any way. If you're interested in inviting me to actually go out to your school or institution, if you want me to bring my spacesuit to show that off, for example. If you're looking to rent a telescope with us. And of course, our show calendar is up there, so you can see all the programs that we're offering that we have right now up through the end of December. We'll be adding the January shows soon.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, thank you for being on the show today.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure. We'll go ahead and take a break, and next will be Lisa Costello with the Gertz Gallery.
So, my name is Whitney Sage. I'm a multidisciplinary artist originally from southeastern Michigan, specifically a suburb of Detroit called Farmington Hills. I'm honored to be here at Parkland College to talk a little bit about my work. I've got two different bodies of work that are represented here, both bodies of which are ongoing, so I'm actively adding to the works over the course of the last few years. So, Homesickness series, the series that you see in the three sort of black-toned monochromatic works here, was a series that I began in 2016. And actually the very first piece from the series is this one in the lower right corner here. This was my very first foray into this style of working, as well as the material itself. Something kind of interesting about the series is that it started in a very different way for me than how I normally start a new series of work, in that I started with the material first. I purchased a bottle of Payne's Gray ink at an art supply store just because I thought it looked really beautiful on the shelf. And I'd never used acrylic ink before. It wasn't a material I'd actively used. I'd used similar materials, watercolor, pastel, gouache. So I've used similar materials before, but nothing of this nature. And so when I started producing this piece, it was more of sort of an experiment than something I thought of as being the starting point of something new. But I absolutely love the material, how it worked, how it looked, the subtle tonal color that's present within the gray, so much that I chose to kind of continue making work along this vein with this material. In terms of the work, the work centers in both series about images of downtown Detroit, specifically the neighborhoods in downtown Detroit. It's a place that, being from Southeast Michigan in the suburbs, it was a place I was familiar with, not a place I was directly from though. And my interest in depicting the neighborhoods specifically is that it's one of the areas where the city has seen the most devastation over the course of the last 50 years. The city has started to rebound from economic turmoil produced by auto industry moving out from downtown Detroit, from suburban outmigration. There's a reinvestment that's happening in the city that's beginning to happen, but it hasn't really hit the neighborhoods. The neighborhoods too were so sprawling, Detroit being such a large city, that in a lot of ways it would require a massive influx of people in order to physically occupy the vast space that just exists in the city. And so in a city where actively a lot of buildings are being torn down, homes are being torn down, homeland is sort of disappearing, the point of the series, or the impulse behind the series, is to look at capturing in some means or another what used to exist, what's no longer there but once was.
Welcome back to the Parkland Report. I'm here now with Lisa Costello, who is the director of the Gertz Gallery. Welcome back to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So for our viewers that maybe haven't ventured to the Gertz Gallery, could you give us the overview of really what the mission is and what people can expect when they visit?
Oh, sure. Yeah, the gallery, we have 6 exhibitions a year, and we have 2 that are specific to Parkland College. And those are the Art and Design Faculty Show, which is currently up right now, but is closing in a couple days. And then also we have our Student Art and Design Show, which I think will be the 56th this year.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, not actually in the gallery, but our 56th show, according to the research that I did. And so we also have other exhibitions. We have solo exhibitions of artists from all over the country, and then we also have group exhibitions. And occasionally, sometimes I curate the shows, but sometimes we have outside curators. So, yeah.
That's very exciting to have that type of cultural opportunity right here on campus.
It really is, yeah. And it's great, it's great for our students, and it's nice to have student engagement, whether they're artists or they're just, a nursing student or something like that who's coming in to see the exhibit. So we really enjoy that kind of variety and that aspect of being a teaching gallery, we consider ourselves, so.
Wonderful. Well, this past weekend we were involved in a little something going on in the community called Pygmalion Festival, something you've been involved and the gallery's been involved with for many years. Could you talk about the engagement there?
Sure. We part of Pygmalion is Made Fest, and we it's like an open market, and there are a lot of people that have handmade objects or crafts, ceramics. Someone has some really beautiful rugs this year, handmade rugs. And so Denise Seif, who is the Art and Design Program Director, and myself thought it would be a great idea to have a booth for our students to participate, because that's kind of, once you graduate, it's a little bit daunting to go out there and do kind of your own booth if you haven't had any kind of experience. So we started this, and she incorporates it into her class. And so her students, and she teaches metalsmithing as well as art history, but a lot of the metalsmithing students participate, and so they learn how to make multiples or a series of work, and they learn about pricing artwork and how to display it, and then also how to run a booth. So in addition to that, we also have ceramic students doing the same thing, and then we have some students that just donate their work outright, and so that goes to the gallery. So it's a little bit of a fundraiser for the gallery, but it's mainly an educational, experience. It's kind of a learning lab that we have for our students at Parkland.
That's great. Did you guys get good response from the community members that
Yeah,
were
we
there?
did. Yeah, it was really nice. I mean, I kind of marketed in our email blast and then sent it out on social media. So it was nice to see some of our former students as well as Parkland community come out, and it was a really enjoyable experience. So beautiful weather, really nice artwork. I highly recommend people go attend it next year since they missed it this year.
Very good. We'll
Yeah.
keep promoting that on social media.
Yeah.
Opportunities to visit there. Something else we were talking about that happens in the fall that's coming up, and we were talking about youth engagement as well, is having high school students actually come to campus and get that first taste of Parkland and have an experience. Can you describe what that is and how there's a collaboration?
Yeah, so we do something called the High School Art Seminar, and we invite all of the high school art teachers in our district and their students to come and attend a workshop. So, well, it's 2-hour-long workshops from our faculty, so our art and design faculty are engaged. And so it might be ceramics or printmaking or drawing, painting, metalsmithing. And so then they get to attend 2 of the hands-on workshops and make something. And then we also have them tour the gallery as well as a tour of our campus through admissions, and then they also hear an artist talk. So this year it'll be Lisa Costello, who's a local artist and printmaker, as well as she just finished a big mural in a restaurant that just opened in downtown Urbana. So I thought her work is really engaging, and she kind of has a broad experience of different types of artwork, doing commissions and things like that. So she's going to talk to the students about those kinds of opportunities. And I'm trying to think of what else we do. Well, this year, which is great, you were just talking to Erik, the planetarium director. I thought, it would be nice to see if we could also have them see a show. So they're going to see kind of an animated astronomy show in the planetarium as well afterward. It's that part's voluntary. But yeah, it's a really great experience. So we love having the students. Sometimes we have up to 200.
Wow.
Yeah, and so it's really terrific. It's great. I get to learn about all the different schools and their art programs in our, in the school districts in our community. So it's pretty terrific.
Yeah, sounds like a great date, but then also a great opportunity for those students to try Parkland on for size to see if this would be a good choice for them and a place that can support that talent and that skill and that drive and goal.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're specifically in art, and even if they don't end up going into art, they'll still kind of get an experience of Parkland. And so when I was listening to you talking to Erik, I thought, that was interesting that he was thinking of it as their first experience with Parkland, some of the younger students. And with us, it's like they're looking at college and what college will be like. So I think it's pretty exciting for them to be in our in our art studios and see that. And then, get to see an exhibition in the gallery. I specifically choose that show every year. And so that's Christy Dietz, Threads, Folds, and Rabbit Holes. And that'll be in the gallery starting October 9th and running through November 11th. And I think they'll really enjoy her work. She's done book illustrations as well as paintings and some fiber work. So her work just really, I thought, that's perfect for kind of college students and incoming college students to view. So
Very good. Good. So what other shows do you have coming up? I know that you have some other materials you've brought.
Yeah, I've got my everything to remind me of what we're doing. We have after the Christy Dietz Threads, Folds, and Rabbit Hole show, we're going to have the Ceramics Biennial, and that's called Bold. And that's been really fun to work with. I have 2 co-curators, and so they're both in Montana, from opposite ends of Montana. And one is Jill Oberman, and she works at the Red Lodge Clay Center. And then Julia Galloway teaches at the University of Montana. So they're really well versed in the world of ceramics, and it's been really terrific to work with them as curators and see who they've selected. So the artists that they've selected are from all over the country, and they're doing something really bold in the field of ceramics, whether it's a technical process or a visual component. And so, yeah, it's going to be a really terrific show. Sometimes our shows are more focused on utilitarian objects like pitchers and cups and things like that. This is a very sculptural show, so it'll be a little bit different than some of our other previous ceramics biennials.
How do you get connected with artists in other states and across the country? How does that process unfold?
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. For the ceramics biennial, I always consult with our faculty, and Laura O'Donnell, who was teaching here at the time, said, "Oh, remember Julia Galloway? She showed in one of the previous exhibits. Maybe she'd be interesting to invite." And so, I thought, oh yeah, that would be terrific. She was great to work with. So I called her up, and she was like, I'd like to do it, but I'd really like to invite somebody else to co-curate with me.
Okay.
So I was like, okay,
Sort of a snowball effect then.
Yeah, so that's really nice. I've had very few exhibits co-curated. So, usually it's the vision of one person or another, but I think this has been really interesting for all involved. So,
Cool.
yeah.
We'll definitely have to see how things come together.
Yeah, and so I've been in contact with all the artists and, getting their shipping, they're going to ship their work, so we've been coordinating that and all of the insurance and things that are kind of behind the scenes with gallery work. So it's going to be a terrific show. I'm really looking forward to it.
That's great. I'm always impressed by the level of thoughtfulness and creativity that really goes into each show as distinct experience.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It really comes through. And you also do a great job of promoting the opportunities to come and kind of inviting the community in or giving previews. So can you talk about where you are on social media, website, and how community members can learn more about what's going on at the
sure.
gallery?
Well, I would recommend anybody join our email list if they're interested. And so you can go to our website, and under Connect, it's parkland.edu//gallery. And then on the bar, there's Connect. And then if you go into there, there's, sign up for our email or our mailing if you're not interested in email. But the email is really where we're keeping everybody, up to date on certain things. Say if we had a snowstorm and had to cancel, that sort of things. And then we do send out mailers, so that's been really terrific, and people really respond well to those. As well as we're on Facebook and Instagram. And then we're also on Twitter. I'm having a little bit of trouble with Twitter because it changed some sort of parameters. But those are what we're pretty much on. And I'd also like to give a shout out to PCTV because we also do, for almost all of our shows, we call it For Art's Sake, and we have our own television show on PCTV.
Well, our viewers will have to tune into that as well.
Yeah, and I don't know what the schedule is.
Well, thanks again for making time, Lisa, and sharing
course.
what's going on at the gallery. I'm sure we'll have you on again, and it'll be a fresh crop of things to come see then. But
Yeah, thank you.
always a pleasure.
Yeah, nice talking to you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Well, that's it for our episode of the Parkland Report today. Thanks for spending time with us and learning about what's happening at Parkland College, and we'll see you next time.